Hey, Margie here. Welcome to the Wake Up, Pray Up, Boss Up podcast, the show that helps Christian moms prioritize their physical and mental health so they can boldly step into God's calling. I'm your host, Margie Ruiz.
Hey, Margie here. What if the reason you feel overwhelmed, exhausted, or stuck is not because you're doing too much, but because something in your life is just out of order? Welcome to the Wake Up Prayer Boss Up podcast. Today, we're talking about something that really is the foundation of a strong life and something my beautiful guest calls the 4Fs. Because when these 4 areas are in order, life feels strong. It feels like it's jiving, right? But when they're out of order, life just feels harder than it should. And I'm really excited about today's conversation because I'm joined by Mark McCoy. Mark, welcome.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Welcome for having me. Thank you.
Thank you for being here. Mark is the wellness director for Dr. Mark Pinsky, who is a board-certified DO and fellowship trained in sports medicine. He's also the vice president of a personal training certification company, an athlete, and an entrepreneur. But more than that, he's someone who has spent years helping people transform their health, their habits, and their lives. So today we're going to talk about how to build a strong life from the inside out, not just success on the outside, but alignment on the inside. Mark, I am so excited that you're here. So I heard you speak about the 4Fs and it really grabbed me. It really got me excited. And I thought, I've got to get him on the podcast and have him share this. So tell us, what are the 4Fs?
Yeah, well, I'm glad it inspired you. I'm inspired by it myself. In fact, I heard about it a little over a decade ago, and it really started to sink in. I was going to church and I was talking to my pastor and hearing just certain messages. And then I heard a message from another pastor at one time. We talked about the 4Fs, and I was like, I never heard it that way. And so I just started thinking on it and prayed about it, talked to my pastor about it. And I just said, the 4 priorities in life in order, the 4Fs: faith, family, fitness, and finance. And so my pastor was like, that's correct. And in fact, if you keep God first and realize that you work harder for your family than you do anything else, you're protecting, providing, doing the things you do. The body is a temple, and we have to watch and maintain in a monetary society. We obviously have to make money and be sure that we are covering the bills and doing things that we do. He says, but if you look at it in order, faith, family, fitness, and finance, what I was teaching that day when you were there was that we spend most of our time on the finance side and we do this. Mm-hmm. And so what happens is these 3 suffer because we're spending all our time and attention and energy here, and we make decisions. As you know, in the Bible, it says, "Oh, no man have become a slave to the lender." So obviously we're not supposed to have debt, but we all live on monthly bills, and mental mindset of money is month to month. The poor think week to week, the middle class think month to month, and the very wealthy think generationally. And so based on your timeline of thinking, you start thinking differently when you think by time. But I realized these priorities. So I found these 4Fs to be very, very key. That am I using my spiritual mind when I'm thinking through what my decisions are? And then am I doing things that better my family and friends around me? As long as I'm doing these 2 things, I want to make sure I'm healthy, and I want to make sure that I'm financially a good steward. So
I love that. It's such a great framework because it's simple, but it's powerful. So I want to walk through each one and really get people thinking, what exactly does it mean to be fit in these different areas? But when you were speaking, it made me think, I think it used to be more of an issue for men, that finances, they always, I'm going to go out to work and the wife's going to stay home and take care of the stuff. But I'm finding that it's both men and women now. I think we're also consumed with making a buck that we're forgetting about our priorities. So I think it just makes us even more important that we discuss it.
Yeah. And the culture changes. But obviously because our monetary systems have changed, and I won't get into the politics of it all in fiat currencies and inflationary measures. But when you start looking at how things are, then you start realizing that one person working generally can't cover the lifestyle people are looking for. So then the second person started working, and then it's just whoever's winning more and supporting each other, and trying to find that balance is even harder in today's society. And so it's just understanding that we don't want to let things go. They said that a poor person may have 1,000 wishes and dreams, but a wealthy person with a health issue only has one.
Isn't that the truth?
Right?
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
We start looking at the fact that if we don't take care of ourselves, it can have a detrimental effect on everything, simply because it forces its priority list. And so the more we take care
Absolutely.
of ourselves, the better we are. And that's where the health side came in. And since I've been in the health industry for many, many years, 32 now officially, age and weight management is my specialty. And I certify personal trainers and I work for Dr. Pinsky as his wellness director. So proactive side of healthcare.
Mhm.
And it's all just, it fits hand in glove with the mindset. So how do we find that balance in our lives? And everybody listening to this has probably got a tight budget and probably has a busy day. So how do you
Absolutely.
fit all the good habits into a budget and a busy day? And the goal is to navigate that well. And that's the key, is how to take the science and make it simple, or how to work on schedules and stuff.
I love that. And number one is faith, which I love because for me personally, and I'm actually on a 40-day, 40-night retreat as we speak, because I was feeling a little disconnected, right? And I find that when I'm more connected to God, life just gets easier. And when I'm more disconnected, discipline gets harder. It's harder to make decisions and things like that. So from your perspective, how important is faith or purpose when it comes to building an extraordinary life?
Well, it's what keeps you grounded and based. And my pastor has a very unique saying that he reminds people of. And my pastor is also not just the owner of the International Seminary College, Dr. Dan Tyler. He also is clergy to the FBI. So he looks at
Wow.
everything through different lenses. And he's ranked
Mm.
somewhere between two-star generals in Congress. So
Wow.
his out of his 24 spiritual gifts, he jokes that his last one is mercy. He goes, "Here it comes." So he just says it straight, tells it like it is, and keeps you grounded. But he says this very specific phrase. He says, "Just realize that if you don't pray daily, you will notice within a few days. If you don't pray
Mhm.
within 3 days, others notice."
Ooh.
Yeah.
I'm I'm gonna write that one down. That's a good
Yeah,
one.
because you're losing your grounding, your verbiage may change, your inflection may change, your heart is just different when you're reaching out. I mean, just think how when you're in a peaceful mood and you're driving and someone cuts you off, to when you're tense and someone cuts you off. Is your response difference?
Yeah,
Are you
a little
grounded?
bit.
Right? So that's where he says, just put yourself in the word. And there's a book out called The Miracle Morning. And I always start my mornings. I try to do spiritual reading, intellectual, and then health. I do my drink every morning, and I always have my shaker cup and my, oh, I'm on a background, sorry. But I have my nourishment and stuff that I use. And every morning I'm drinking that while I'm reading. So I always ground myself spiritually, intellectually, physically. I always start my day that way before I engage with the world. So,
I love it. Number two, family. And you hear these stories over and over, especially in the news and famous people that they're very successful. They have all these great careers, but they're getting divorced or they have this or they have that. And what's the point of being healthy, right? And if you lose your family and the people you love in the meantime. So from what you've seen, how does someone build success without sacrificing their family and their relationships?
yeah. And again, it comes back to balance. But a lot of that is communication in the word, God first, then relationship second. And when you're working on that, and it's unique because, no blame, or any journey of life is journey of life. Things happen. But
Mhm.
how do you stay grounded and know that I can handle anything that comes my way? And I'm always working hardest. And it's not just like blood family, it's also your inner circle. Who are the
Mhm.
people you choose to spend time with and around, and how do you influence them? I heard a basic statement. It just says, if you are in an elevator, do you bring people up or do you bring people down?
Mm.
Right. So if you have the ability to lift people up in life, are you the one that's supporting people to do better? Are you the
Yeah.
example they should follow?
Mm.
If a child comes home and says a 4-letter word, it's the first thing a parent says. Who you've been with today, right?
Yeah.
They ask who you're
Right.
associating with. So we're always close to
Yeah.
people we're associating with, but also be sure that you're the person they should associate with. So how are you helping people lift their lives and just add value? That's really where Proverbs 27:17 says, iron sharpens iron as man sharpens man. And when you think about how are we working with each other to sharpen each other's skills, and that's the body of Christ. That's the church is the body of Christ. It's the people,
Mhm.
not the building.
Yeah.
So where are we in that fellowship? And that's the family side. That's the inner circle, and it's the church family as well. So
I love it. I've heard it say a lot that you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with.
yeah,
So look around.
oh,
If you're not liking what you're seeing,
yeah.
you may need to reconsider who you're spending
But
time with.
it's also every area. Think
Mhm.
financially, think spiritually, think physically. If you hang out in the gym or you hang out in the bar, who are you spending time with physically, and what is the outcome of that endeavor?
Mhm.
So, addictive personality types. With sports psychology, we've learned that the addictive personality type is also the same one that could have addicted to alcohol or drugs or something, is also the one addicted to training and athleticism and the outcomes. They call you a champion. They call you a medalist. They call you, disciplined. So if you get addicted to something that has positive outcomes, it's all blessing. So no one with an addiction is broken. It's just their focus.
Another F.
Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome. So then we get to number 3. So faith, family, fitness. This is a big one, Mark, because, fitness is so much more than just, obviously you work with trainers and bodybuilders and things like that, which is awesome. But for the average person, right, that maybe doesn't want to be a bodybuilder, and they feel like, I don't even know where to start, right? So let's talk about fitness and where does someone start when they're feeling out of shape, low energy, overwhelmed? Where do they even start?
Yeah, and that's a great question because our society teaches diet and exercise. It's 2 phases, and really it's 3. It's a balance and then feed and then move. Balance, feed, and move are the 3 phases of full proactive healthcare. Like if you're dealing with something that's out of balance, everything you're trying to accomplish is hindered by the efficiency of that item. So just like not getting enough sleep at night or dehydration, those slight imbalances are things that can affect the outcomes of exercise or you trying to lose weight or do something specific. So following a foundation up approach is really what the journey is. Now, most people don't know there's a checklist. There's 8 steps. And people don't know that there's technology now that navigates that world. But the goal is to say, where do I start? And then what is the next item in the progression? When we look at deprivation scales, the number 2 item on the deprivation scale is quality sleep every night. You shouldn't even drive a car if you skip sleeping one night. It's worse than drunk driving. You literally will see things that aren't there. If you're driving home at 3 a.m., you're super tired to see a mailbox, you think it's a deer, and like, well, swerve the car and it was an inanimate object. Your brain is seeing things because it's out of energy, it's lost. So sleep deprivation is number 2 on the deprivation scale. Number 3 is hydration. Then number 4, and then number 5, number 6. Number 1, most people will ask, it's oxygen. If you don't believe me, just hold your breath until you're thirsty. Pretty sure. Yeah. So, but we work through those scales, and that's where we start at the bottom. And technically, in the 8 steps, it's cleansing and detoxing. And we make sure that we get the body to rid of the toxins. And our food sources in America have over 80,000 chemicals they've found in it. And studies have been done on almost 200 of them. So we do need to cleanse and detox quite a bit for gut health, for getting the kidneys and the liver to filter out, to make sure we're absorbing nutrition. So if you're eating whole foods, and just so you guys know, if it has one ingredient, the way God made it, not you made it, or a company, it's probably healthier for you. So natural eating is the best way to go.
Absolutely. So
Yeah.
talk a little bit about detox. You mentioned that, but people may not even know what that looks like. Like people think of detox, they might think of like starving themselves or not eating anything for a month or whatever. Can you go a little bit about what you guys recommend?
Yeah, and there's validity to different types of things at different times. So let's say fasting. It's in the Bible. Let's talk about fasting. Some people will do a 3-day fasting period. Some people do a 40-day and they go through a process. We're looking at stuff like autophagy. Your body will actually naturally start to detox and rid itself of senescent or zombie cells, right? When you get past the 18 to 20 hour mark, it starts to go into its own detoxification. But after 3 days, you start losing muscle mass. You start robbing your body of its own lean body mass. So you're not just tapping into fat, you're tapping into everything to keep your autonomic nervous system running. So heartbeat, breathing, peristalsis, and blink your eyes, and anything that's automatic. It's known as your basal metabolic rate. You got to feed the life-sustaining function. And if it doesn't have it from an outside source, it's going to rob it from itself. So beneficial the first up to 36 hours. After that, it starts to become detrimental. But that doesn't mean you can't do it through also eating and using something that will clean the gut, get rid of some of the synthetic things that we're eating, fillers and additives and preservatives and things that build up in our systems. But it will also address the kidney. It'll also address the liver. It'll work on things like yeast or fungi or even parasites. You'll see a lot of advertising on certain ones. They'll market certain things, but you want something that'll completely handle all of that and then rebuild the microbiome. And you can imagine if your metabolism is based on what you absorb, if you eat 2,000 calories a day but only absorb 1,000, your body thinks you're only eating 1,000. So if your digestive efficiency is really slowing down, it slows the metabolic rate. And the metabolism says, wow, I need to slow down to be sure I get enough calories to keep you alive because it's below the BMR. And it needs to reserve that energy. So how do we reserve energy? We store it as body fat. So people say, oh my God, I'm starting to gain body fat. So I'm going to go on a
diet.
Right. And what's the first three letters of the word diet?
Die.
That's right. It's accelerated aging. You're malnourished. Right. So everybody's going to like get the light bulb over their head. If you're already underfed because of efficiency problem and you're gaining fat, and when you start gaining fat, you go on a diet and you cut the calories even more, you're actually making the problem worse. So your metabolism slows down while you're on that diet. And then it plateaus when the new metabolism signal hits where it is. And you're like, how come I'm dieting so little, but I'm still not losing any more weight? I did in the beginning, but then it plateaued. So you get off the diet and you gain back all the weight plus a little bit because you have a new lower set point. If all you did was go back and properly clean the gut and open up the channels of filtration, liver, kidney, and gut, the body can calm down from the toxic overload. It can filter things out, and now it's absorbing the nutrition, and you go back to your early 20s. You have a chronological age and you have a biological age. So in that first phase of balance, you have to get the junk out of the way before you ever put the good in. Otherwise, you're not actually getting most of the good in. Some people may be on a perfect nutrition plan and getting half of it.
Yeah, it's crazy. And
yeah.
I think I shared with you earlier, my husband's a gastroenterologist. So this whole detox thing, they don't get taught that in med school, unfortunately, right? So this is all kind of new to us.
He's a gastroenterologist, so Dr. Lewis is very smart on this stuff. But most MDs, I mean, there's 75% of all medical schools don't have nutritional training anymore in the United States. So,
but I will tell you, for me personally, I went through the detox and I was having a hard time swallowing pills. It's been a problem. I had an EGD before, they had to stretch or whatever. So I did this detox and I started hopefully absorbing what I'm supposed to. And I just told you earlier today, for the first time in years, I'm able to swallow capsules, which I was not able to do. So I can tell you, it works. When you start getting your body back to where it's supposed to do, it's exciting. So,
And there's multiple reasons why that can happen. Inflammation is one. If the body's inflammation pathways are overloaded, you do have chronic inflammatory response. Sometimes that can occur with swallowing. But there's so many different things. I won't get into the deep science, but I peek out. So I'm sorry. But I love the fact that it's actually, you don't have to understand why certain things are working. But if you knew that cleanse and detoxing, first step, proper sleep, 7+ hours a night quality, and you can wear Oura rings or Apple Watches now and monitor sleep. So that's pretty cool. And then, proper hydration intake. And there's different schools of thought, but we generally look for about half the current body weight of the person. We hydrate the body we have, but we feed the body we want. So we set our goal weight and we make our nutrition numbers based on that. And after our cleanse and detox, those nutrition numbers are more accurate. So there's formulas for goal weight. I mean, most nutrition research on macro counting for all the athletes out there are done at universities. The average age is like 20. Right?
Well, so if not my average age.
Yeah. I'm 55 years old, right? So at 55, I have biological markers have me in my early 20s right now, about 24. So the goal is to get the junk out of the way and then optimally feed the body you want. So I know my goal weight, I know my height, I know my activity level. So I know what that formula says. All I have to do is plug it into the numbers and say, here's how much I'm supposed to be eating with that schedule for me. It's different for you than me. By far, I'm 6'2", over 210 pounds.
Yeah.
And I play ice hockey. So I'm pretty sure we're not supposed to eat the same. So the formulas are crucial.
That's what the formulas are. I mean, it's crazy.
But if you haven't done the first step of cleanse and detox, every macro counting program you're on may not be accurate simply because you're not absorbing the numbers.
Can you share real quick? Because I was shocked when I heard you say this the first time about the 2,000 calorie standard or whatever, where that came from.
Yeah. If you look up where the FDA label came from, the historical record of it and everything, 2,000 calories a day is on every label. So anybody who reads the label will see it at the bottom. But what it doesn't tell you is, who is that based on? Is that Margie Lewis or is that Shaquille O'Neal?
Right. Just a little bit of a difference.
Right. So if you hand that package of that item, that food item to Shaq, did the numbers change? No. So it's obviously not for everybody. But if you don't know the reference point, you don't know how to kind of do the math. It's 125-pound sedentary female is 2,000 calories a day for optimal caloric intake. Obviously, whole foods, natural balance, everything has to be in the right order.
Mm.
But that's about the caloric intake. Most people will eat below that. They'll diet. They've been told calories, be careful of your calories. And I know the scientific measurement of a calorie. I've had these discussions with many, many people, especially doctors that are in our training facilities back when I was training. And it was interesting because they would say a calorie is a calorie. It's a measurement of energy output from a calorie. I understand. And they measure it by, can they raise water temperature from 15 degrees Celsius to 16? So they know how much energy output it has. I get that. But you cannot tell me that a calorie is a calorie. You're telling me a glazed donut and a salmon fillet do the same thing in my body?
Yeah. I don't think so.
There is differences on the impact to you as a organism, right? So which calories makes a difference by far to how your body processes, where it goes in the system. Does it go to muscle or does it go to just pure energy like a candy bar, right? And you burn it off for sugar spike and insulin production and, or a salmon fillet, which is feeding muscle and it's steady state and, lower glycemic and healthy fats. Those calories are different. So I've never heard someone go, oh my gosh, I binged on broccoli. Right.
I feel so guilty.
Right. Yeah. But pizza and ice cream, sure. I've heard that one. But if you're eating abundance of healthier natural foods and your body's absorbing it, your metabolism goes, oh my gosh, there it is. And it starts shutting off all the fat storage switches. It starts to turn off the fact that it has to deal with toxins because you're not eating as many foods full of fillers and toxic stuff or preservatives. You're eating whole foods. So it's not overloaded with toxic overload. So the efficiency keeps getting younger and the cells are regenerating in this environment. So the body is just getting younger and younger and it feels like you're back into your 20s. And ultimately, if you had your sleep quality, your energy levels, how your joints felt, metabolism of a 20-year-old, life is just easier. And that's ultimately how people should engage is foundation up approach. Cleanse and detox, proper sleep, proper hydration, and proper micronutrients. You get those 4 things dialed in, then feed step, macronutrients. That's where your proteins, fats, carbs, balance. That's where they come into that new younger environment. Then move, exercise, balance, feed, move.
That's awesome. We could talk about this all day because I know we're both very passionate about physical fitness.
Yeah.
But so we had faith. We had faith, we had family, we had fitness. Now we get into finance. And I find that there's a lot of similarities when you have discipline in your body, you tend to have more discipline in your finances. What do you think? Do you see a connection in this?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Because in the Bible, money is mentioned more times than all other subjects combined. And it's not that that's true. And it's not that God wants your money, it's that he doesn't want money to get you. Right. So if you have multiple streams of income, the money code in the Bible says 7 + 1, 8 different revenue streams to a person's life. How are you a good steward of your money? Are you putting it in investments? Remember the stories. So the key with how we do that is how can we make a living from 9 to 5 and we make a life from 5 to 9. What's that little extra thing we do? And eventually the 5 to 9 surpasses the 9 to 5. And if you can pay off debts, you can create a debt freedom lifestyle. You can create the, Financial Peace University, Dave Ramsey, things like that. But you're investing and running things in a way that you can multiply finances and then apply it. You're doing the financial thing right now. In my world, we've combined the health and the financial side together. Our health journeys are monetized. So we've learned how to enhance the first 2 by enhancing and combining the second 2. So that's where our world just, and how many people do you know with a body?
A lot.
Okay.
All of them. As a matter of fact.
Right. How many people like to have multiple streams of income and more money and debt free?
It's so funny that you mentioned that because I've always heard it say that millionaires have 5 to 7 streams of income. But when I came here to Texas, someone just said to me that it came from the Bible, and I have to announce my ignorance. I didn't know that came from the Bible. So thank you for mentioning that.
Yeah, and we were in Texas together. You're Dr. Pinsky, you and me, Dr. Ruiz, and we had 24 doctors to go to the corporate retreat that we did. And talking to the owner of the company, who is a very strong Christian man, first thing he said when he introduced himself to everybody was Corinthians 3:23. He says, excellent in all things for an audience of one. And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
this guy's a billionaire.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. He's leading with Christ. He's leading with heart. And the mission of the programs is to help the health of Americans proactively and give the power back to people. The messaging is using better technologies to navigate the field. And the method is follow your own plan and don't keep it a secret. So if you
Mm-hmm.
think about just being a self practicer of your own journey, and when
Mm-hmm.
people notice, they say, wow, what are you doing different? It's like evangelism. I did this. They're welcome to join the mission. Our goal
Mm-hmm.
is to help bring it out. So I love that those things are out there. I love that there's better tools today. Everything's going from an analog to a digital world, and it's making our life so easy. It's making our
Mm-hmm.
work so. I love
I
these things. I love that it's all a heartfelt program, and I couldn't have been born at a
love
better time to see all this come into fruition.
it.
So.
Right. Mark, if someone listening right now feels like their life is out of order, right? These 4Fs are not in play. Maybe, they're just out of alignment. What is one thing that they can do to start getting their life back on track?
Honestly, it was the exercise I did originally when I'd heard the 4Fs. Get a
Mhm.
blank piece of paper and write out faith, family, fitness, and finance. And if you could design what your perfect faith journey would look like,
Mm.
how would you do that? And I mean the action steps or the outcome, like if it were there. I sat down and said, okay, if I'm in the Word every day and I said 15 minutes devotion every morning, it's going to be my journey. That's what I'm going to do. And then church with my pastor and our journey there. And that's where I ground with someone of authority that I can learn from. And find a good church, find someone you trust the message, but do that daily item, whatever that is for you. There's so many
Mhm.
great apps out there now in Bible interpretation and good messaging. But then go through each one. Go through your family. If you had family goals, whatever that is, even if you're single and you have goals with that, or you're working with your parents on something. My parents are in their 80s, and we have some goals that we're spending more time with them and working on health things. And I'm blessed to be able to help with that. I'm putting those onto my list of items that I'm doing.
Mhm.
When I came to fitness, I changed my program just recently. I moved my workouts from evening to morning because I have business partners now in Reno, Nevada, and out in California, and in the West Coast. So it's 3 hours behind us here in Florida. You see my
Mhm.
background? Right? That's Melbourne Beach. It's right by the offices, right? So I made sure that I moved my workouts to the morning so it was all finished, and I could work later in the evening when I'm on calls. So 3 hours behind us.
Mm.
So I
Yeah.
knew I would disrupt my schedule. And I've actually been more consistent because I moved it to where it was done first.
Mhm.
So my morning drink is now also my pre-workout blend. So I added it into my mix and I've been doing that. And then I'm going to the gym and I'm doing my workouts and then having my
Yeah.
post-workout meal. And then I'm engaging in the day. And I'm so grounded because I've done all my things there. And then I'm
I
working
love
on the
it.
financial thing throughout the day. But then finances. I want people to sit down and actually say, if you were debt free and had a certain amount of income that was passive
Mhm.
coming in, how different would your life be? What is your dream life? And you could be materialistic, like what kind of car would you drive? What kind of place would
Mhm.
you live? I love Clearwater Beach. There's a condo building that is absolutely stunning, and the whole thing was built horizontally. So every single bedroom, living room, dining room all have picture windows looking
Oh,
at the Gulf of
nice.
Mexico, right? So they built it perfectly. I didn't even know it existed. The elevators, you have a special key and it opens up only into you come right
Oh,
into your
nice.
place. It's gorgeous. And
Nice.
I love that. Can't afford it yet, but it's on my dream board. It's like, that's something I would love to have. And I love it
Yeah.
because it has spare master. So guests that want to come to Florida can stay and not have to be charged because they could come and have fellowship and stay there if they need to.
I love
So
it.
I would love something like that. But knowing those things, you can't
Mhm.
hit a goal you've never seen.
Mhm.
And it's easy to reverse engineer.
Mhm.
So it's like use a GPS system without an address.
Yep. Yeah. Go around in
Just
circles.
It's just a big map, right? The chances of you landing at your destination safely and effectively in an efficient manner is slim to
Yeah.
none. There's roads everywhere,
Exactly.
but we have choices
Exactly.
everywhere. So how do you know what aligns with your goals? If you've never written them down, you would never know how to align them.
Absolutely.
That's how we do that. So it's really a brilliant way to kind of organize your life and realize it creates balance. And those 4 Fs are really the 4 priorities in order. And when you feel out of balance, look at your list and it just
Mhm.
jumps out at you. It's revealing.
I love it. So as you guys know, I always like to leave you the 3 clicks. Number 1 is wake up, which is exactly what Mark just shared. You have to get honest about where you're at. You have to take the time. We're so busy. We're running from here, running to there. We don't take 5 minutes to even think why we're running from here to there. So 1, get honest with yourself, wake up. 2, pray up. You got to ask God to help you reorder your priorities. If you do the exercise, you realize, you know what, God, I'm kind of got you at number 4, How am I going to change that? And ask for guidance. And number 3, boss up. You got to take action. You got to make a decision. You got to commit. If you decide, hey, my F's are off, and this week I'm going to do one thing. Maybe that one thing is reading the Bible for 5 minutes in the morning, whatever it is for you to get you back on track, because a strong life is not built in a day, it's built on daily decisions. Faith, family, fitness, and finance. Get those in order and everything else starts to fall into place. Mark, thank you so much. I really appreciate you being here. Until next time, remember to wake up, pray up, and boss up every day. God bless. Bye.
Thank you so much for listening. Hey, if you enjoyed the episode and you'd like to help support the podcast, please share it with others, post about it on social media, shout it from the rooftops, leave a rating and a review, all the things. And to catch the latest from me, you can follow me on Facebook and Instagram at margie.gp6 or go to my website at margieruiz.com and make sure to sign up for my weekly newsletter. Thanks again. I'll see you next time. Bye.